Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. Let me just play a little bit of this for you about what's going on with these COVID vaccinations and the mandatory side of things.
This is part of a trend we're seeing in Europe to create effectively a two-tier society. Germany has gone into what is called the lockdown of the unvaccinated, which really does create a very sharp distinction. If you are wanting to go to anything other than essential shop, you can't do it unless you can prove your vaccination. Austria is going to introduce mandatory vaccinations early next year. Germany will do something similar just after that. And other European nations are definitely looking at this trend. Europe is a continent that at the moment thinks that the unvaccinated are playing a big role in pushing the increase in cases, and they want to stigmatise those people, whatever the social damage that might cause.
Okay, Adam, thank you.
Right, so that was part of it. There was another bit I'll bring you in a second. This whole idea of let me play it too now, actually.
I was just checking that Darren Gough was a Yorkshireman, born in Barnsley. There we go. Back to COVID now. So what do we know so far about the Omicron variant, which is causing concern across the globe? Earlier, I spoke to an expert in South Africa, the country where the variant was first detected. He said the new variant is taking its toll on the country's unvaccinated population.
The profile of the patients that we are seeing seems to be slightly different. But again, I want to emphasize these are early days. These are not conclusive results, but it appears that younger ages are also affected by this virus and are becoming sick, especially people who have not been vaccinated. Those are the ones that have been becoming sick. And then those that have been vaccinated.
Meantime, Italy.
Yeah, they cut that bit off. So I don't know what he was going to say about the vaccinated ones. But of course, you've got to remember that South Africa, unless I'm mistaken, is only has less than 20% people who have had one vaccination. So obviously, you would have a lot of people who are not vaccinated catching it. So it's a sort of, I mean, it doesn't, and that's why he wanted to stress that it's not conclusive, but it's actually rubbish reporting. It's not. Because the data is so early, and because the country has such a poor vaccination level at the moment, because of all the West are using all the vaccinations first, obviously that's going to be the case. That's like looking at the beginning of this and saying, oh look, all the people who are not vaccinated, like you say we did it in January, February here, when it was the same level, and said, oh look, yeah, most people are getting who are not vaccinated. You know, it's just trying to push this vaccination. And now with this mandatory thing that's going on. But the thing that doesn't make any sense is the fact that vaccinations, and they did stress this on Sky News, I don't know if I gave you the clip of it previously, but they did stress it when they talked to people about vaccinations. The vaccinations, by nature, they don't stop transmission. That isn't, they protect you. They don't protect you. You can still catch it, and you can still pass it on. And there may be some diminished numbers of the amounts of how much you can and can't, but by nature, my understanding is vaccinations don't stop transmission. They stop you from getting sick or sicker. So this idea of mandatory because you're going to try and stop transmission is not, you're just stigmatising people. Yes, I suppose there's some argument to the fact that these people, if these vaccinations do actually work properly and they do actually stop people from getting sick or dying, then of course that's putting less burden on the hospital system, and that's an argument for where maybe the unvaccinated people are putting the pressure on it, because then they're having to deal with them. But then, well, if we look at it, well, why haven't they done that for smoking or alcohol or food? You know, you want to say, oh, the pressure these people are putting on, then it's just because this, and they did the same thing with the obese people. They made them stigmatised by saying, oh, because you're eating too much or because you weigh this much or whatever, then you can't have surgery and all that kind of business. But it was never done with smoking and alcohol and bad eating, which is the cause of most cardiovascular problems and all sorts of other problems that put a lot of pressure on the NHS. historically a lot more than, say, COVID. So it does seem strange that, you know, why they don't tar the same brush with different medical conditions that cause a lot more work for hospitals and medical centres. I mean, if these people, the governments who want to make it mandatory, force you to take vaccination, to live in the system, because that's part of the problem as well. You're not free. You think you're free. You're not free, because the minute you signed that birth certificate your parents did, you became part of the system. You can't opt out of the system. You have to live this way, and no other way is allowed, unless you're a tribes person, or I don't know, how would you be able to live out a free life doing what you want to do? But of course the problem is you get the benefits of the society and the system, as in hospitals and all that kind of stuff. So either you're off and you don't have any help, and you have to only help yourself, or you're part of it. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to bring you. Just seemed like the same old stories again. Take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.